Hello everybody, welcome to another edition of the Shiur. We'd like to thank our sponsors for this week, and we'd like to wish a big refuah shlema, refuat nefesh, refuat guf, for Ram Ben Sar Gito B'toch Shar Chulei Yisrael Be'ezrat Hashem. He should have a refuah shlema b'karov. And today we continue our lecture, our series on Kabbala, and we have an interesting one today. The way that a human being, a Jew specifically, is made up of three parts. They are the nefesh, the ruach, and the neshama. The neshama is a piece of HaKadosh Baruch Hu that is put into us directly from Hashem. And we also have these other two parts, the nefesh and the ruach, otherwise known as the mekubalim by Naran, which is an abbreviation, nefesh, ruach, neshama. The mekubalim explain the way that HaKadosh Baruch Hu puts these spirits, so to speak, inside of us. And he compares it to somebody blowing into a straw that leads to a vessel. So the neshama is from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And the neshama is equivalent to the word neshima. Neshima means a breath. So the breath is correspondent to HaKadosh Baruch Hu's breathing into the straw. That is the first step. Hashem breathes into, so to speak, this straw. The ruach is the wind. The ruach is the part that is in the straw. Once HaKadosh Baruch Hu breathes into the straw, there is now wind or breath, so to speak, that is located inside the straw. And then the nefesh is the lowest part. The nefesh represents the vessel itself, which receives the wind that Hashem is blowing into the proverbial kli. And nefesh comes from the word nefisha. As we know, Shabbat vayi nafash, it rests. The wind rests in the kli, in the vessel. And so too by us. Hashem brings the neshama down from himself all the way through the lower world, which is where the ruach is formed, all the way down into our world, which is where the nefesh is. So we are really a composition of all these three parts. We have the ruach in the middle, the nefesh down below, and the neshama all the way up on high in the olam ha'elyon from HaKadosh Baruch Hu directly. The nefesh, the ruach, and the neshama, three levels. So what that means for us is, and this is applicable only to Jews, Goyim also have this to an extent, but exclusively to Jews, we are connected in a very unique way to the olamot ha'elyonim, to the upper worlds. Because our nefesh, which is what gives us life, is down here, that's connected to the ruach, that's connected to the neshama, so we have an inextricable connection all the way up to the highest world, all the way up to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so to speak, or not even so to speak, we actually do have that connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and all the upper worlds. Not only that, the Mekubalim explain that in fact we are comprised of all the worlds. Everything that HaKadosh Baruch Hu made, all the olamot, the universes and the galaxies, and all these interesting Kabbalistic things, they all are included in us, in our essence, in our composition. We are made up of the olamot ha'elyonim. So this is a very important principle for several reasons. We're going to go through just one or two of them in the short time that we have. This is a big topic. Point number one is that there's a machloket, there's a dispute among the Rishonim about who is greater, a person or a malach, an angel. Now, there are ways to argue for both sides, and really both sides are right, as is true with any argument in Judaism. Both sides, elu ve'elu divrei Elokim chayim, they're both correct, absolutely. But we want to understand in what way is a man greater than an angel. Now, we would say that an angel is greater than a man. Of course, an angel is much closer to Hashem. An angel never does avirot. We are not quite there. But on the other hand, a man does have an advantage over a malach, because the malachim, although they are much closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, they are located in the upper worlds, but they can't actually activate anything in the upper worlds. The malachim are not capable of being po'el. They cannot actually make any changes in the upper worlds. However, us, we can. Because we have that connection through the nefesh, to the ruach, to the neshama, the malachim don't have that. We are able to make changes, so to speak, and we are able to manipulate and control, in a certain sense, the upper worlds. We can control not just what we have here around us in this world, on planet Earth, but also we can control, manipulate what's on Mars, and what's beyond, and beyond, all the way up to the Kisei HaKavod. That is a power that we have as a result of our connection to the neshama, which is all the way up in the Olam HaElyon, in the upper world. Also, as a result of that, the malachim, because they don't have that connection, so their fate and what happens to them is dependent entirely on what we do. Our actions impact the Olamot HaElyonim, the upper worlds, as well, and including the malachim, including the angels. So the angel, he doesn't have free choice, that's what they say, right? And the reason he doesn't have this free choice is because he's being controlled by us. We are in charge, so to speak. We are the Am HaNivchar, the chosen nation, Am Yisrael. We were chosen by HaKadosh Baruch Hu to be shutafim with him, to be partners with him in Maaseh Bereshit, in the creation of the world and in the ongoing continuity of the world's existence. That is a power that we contain just by one little action, whether it's for good or whether it's for bad. And we're going to explain this a little bit more. The Mekubalim explain that because we have this connection to the higher worlds, we have a very, very special benefit that comes attached to us and a very crucial responsibility that could, chas v'shalom, sometimes also be negative. We're not going to focus on the negative, we're going to focus on the positive, but we'll mention it. And it goes as follows. The Mekubalim explain that when a person has a thought to do a mitzvah, everybody at one point in their lives, it doesn't matter how religious or how secular they are, it doesn't matter. Every Jew who has a soul has not forfeited that soul, will always at one point in his life, once a year, once a month, whatever it is, have a thought, a holy thought, to do a mitzvah, to perform a commandment of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now, when a person has that thought, when he generates that thought in his mind, the power of the mind, the power of our actions, what that does is that it activates an upper power, a koach elyon, as it's called, and that koach elyon, that power that we generate with our thought, now gives us a special assistance which allows us and facilitates us to perform that mitzvah. So any mitzvah that we do, whether it's putting tefillin on in the morning, whether it's choosing the right restaurant to eat at, or whether it's choosing your words wisely to make sure not to speak lashon hara about anybody else, any mitzvah that we do is as a result of, first, our thought, and then a special shefa, a special provision of koach, of energy from the upper worlds that will help us in performing that mitzvah. If we don't have that assistance, we will not be able to perform the mitzvah. But we are, because we have that assistance, and that's generated by our thought. Now, once we have that assistance and everything's in place, we actually go ahead and carry out the mitzvah. So now the Mekubalim say something very interesting. What happens when you complete the act of that mitzvah is, and I'll read you the words, Hakidusha ve'or shaloto mitzvah mistalek leshorsho. So that mitzvah now generates a kidusha, a holiness, and an or, a special light. And that special light goes back to its root. Again, keep in mind, we're down here, we're the nefesh. So we do something, we get koach from the elyon, from the neshama realm, all the way up there, it comes down to help us. We do it, we join forces with it, and we do the mitzvah, and there's a kiddusha, a new light that's generated that goes up, all the way up back to the root where it was created, all the way up to the upper worlds. And the Mekubalim explain that this light, this or that we created from our mitzvah, is now going to be our chelek, our portion in Olam Haba. It's going to be our reward for the mitzvah. We think that reward and punishment works as follows. I do a mitzvah, I get rewarded for that mitzvah. I get compensated for that. Where do I get compensated? In the next world, in Olam Haba. You have unbelievable reward over there. lounges and swimming pools and all sorts of incredible things. Maybe even non-kosher restaurants if you're really good. But you have all sorts of things over there that are incredible. And if we do an Avera, on the other hand, then what happens is, so we get punished. There's a place called Gehinam. The fire there is very hot. And we get punished for our deeds. Now, the Mekubalim here are explaining to us that that's exactly not how it works. That's not how reward and punishment operates in the system that HaKadosh Baruch Hu made. It's not that we do something and that triggers a reaction from Shamayim and we get our place in Olam Haba based on that. No. The act that we do, again, all because we're connected to the upper worlds, the act that we do is our punishment, is our reward. That mitzvah, that or that you created from the mitzvah, that or is the VIP lounge that you are looking forward to in the world to come. That is the heated swimming pool that is waiting for you. That is the expensive sports car that is waiting for you in Olam Haba. It is the light that you created from the mitzvah. Gehinam, punishment, hell as they call it, that's not something that's just waiting there, jump in. No. Gehinam, punishment, is the act of the Avera, the sin that you committed. That creates a non-light, a darkness if you'd like. And that darkness is going to be what envelops you in Olam Haba, in the next world. So really, we create our own situation in the world to come. It's totally dependent on us. It's not like there's Olam Haba and we enter it. It's we make our Olam Haba. It's create your own world. Create your own world. Because that is actually what we're doing. We are creating worlds when we do mitzvot. We are creating different types of worlds when we do averot. And that's all because we are connected all the way up to the Olam HaElyon, the upper world. And the Mekubalim explain that that's why Chachamim say, Kol Yisrael yesh lehem chelek la'olam haba. Every Jew has a portion to Olam Haba. Note, it doesn't say chelek ba'olam haba. Anybody who knows Hebrew, that translates to, you have a portion in Olam Haba. Be'olam haba. It doesn't say that. It doesn't say you have a portion in Olam Haba, because that would indicate that there is a portion there, and if we do good, then we get it. If we don't do good, then we don't get it. No, it's la Olam Haba, towards Olam Haba, because we are building our path, our own path towards Olam Haba. We are actually doing the actions which are required, which are going to be our reward and our punishment in the next world. So somebody says, it's not fair, I'm a good person at heart, why is it that I don't get a chelik in Olam Haba? This is the answer. It's 100% fair, because if a person doesn't do what's required of him, he doesn't do the mitzvot, he does averot, so then the person created that situation for himself. He is going to a place which is undesirable. On the other hand, if a person like all of us, if we're doing mitzvot, we're doing things properly, then you created that package for yourself, and you are going to reap the rewards, not because you're getting paid for it, but because that is actually what you are going to be enjoying, that mitzvah that you did. And so this is all as a result of our connection to the upper worlds. It's an incredible topic. There's much more to say. But we do appreciate everybody for joining our Kabbala lectures. And remember, whenever you're learning Torah, make sure that the rabbi you're learning from also has a rabbi. You have to make sure that he also has a misorah, he has a tradition from somebody that he received the Torah from, as opposed to, let's say, a biology teacher that gives shiurim in the Kehila Center that never had a rabbi, never learned from anybody, and therefore we are giving these Kabbalistic shiurim not because it's in my comfort zone, but because I feel that maybe these rabbis, or they call themselves rabbis, but they're just biology teachers, perhaps they should be put in place, and maybe we can find an alternative with somebody that actually learned Torah from another rabbi, that actually has a tradition on how to learn and what's correct and what's incorrect. And maybe then we won't come to conclusions that people who learn all day and receive support are considered thieves or criminals or a chilul Hashem or anything like that. We hope, Bezrat Hashem, that this shiur should be a refuah shlema for Ram ben Sarah Gittel, true Torah with a misorah, with a tradition, is the best sigula for refuah shlema. Science, biology, a biology professor that's teaching Torah is a sigula for the opposite of a refuah shlema. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next week.